Good morning, guys. So I'll tell you a little bit. As you can see, the truck is up in the air, tires off. There's a giant mess of coolant on the floor. So I must be big time now because I do have a 20-pound box of kitty litter to soak up stuff. So I had to take the lower radiator hose off the radiator because I'm gonna try something. But before I get into that, throughout the week, I took that header panel into work and I body worked it and I primed it. So it took me a lunch, so about an hour or so to do all that. But I'll tell you right now, that is the best body worked with automotive 2K primer on this entire truck. But anyway, so that's all smoothed out and all done. So we'll get back to this guy. So what I'm doing is, so you guys know that I did put in the 200 amp alternator for the electric AC. So behind all the scenes of still doing the electric AC, putting in the bigger alternator and everything, I found a solution, hopefully, that will work to have a belt-driven AC compressor, which is right here. So it is a rib belt. This is a Sandon 508 knockoff, so it's no big deal. The bracket is what makes this possible. So this bracket is from Allen Grove, or Allen Groove, however you want to pronounce it, bracket. So this company or website or whatever, they specifically make brackets for hot rods. So what this bracket does is it mounts the AC compressor down low. Actually, I'll put a picture in it right here. So that's where the mount or the bracket mounts up to. So since this is a newer engine, Vortec, whatever, it has no mechanical fuel pump. But the spot is still there for the mechanical fuel pump. And that's the block off plate, because oil still comes down in here, but the hole that would normally go up to the cam to kind of tickle the fuel pump to make it work for mechanical, the hole doesn't go all the way through, right? So I have a electronic or an electric fuel pump in the back. So I figured, you know what, let me see if this will work, because given the dimensions and how it all is, it should fit, right? So up to this point, all I've done was I've taken off the pump block off plate, or the fuel pump block off plate. I did set the bracket up in there, and let me show you. So I did set the bracket up in there, so it bolts to the fuel pump, the bracket right here, and then this bracket right here bolts to the side of the front of the engine. So what I had to do was I did have to take off a 1/4 of an inch right here, because that did hit the lower radiator hose. Now this bracketry clears the lower radiator hose, but the problem is that it's so tight down there that it hits right here on the compressor. So that's no bueno. So I feel that I can figure out how to route the hose a little differently in my mind. Just here right now, once I dropped the coolant and it went all over the place, it gave me some time to think about how I can route this, if this will all work, right? So and it does run a V-belt, so my alternator, water pump, and crank pulley are running a 5-rib belt. So farm style tension, so you tighten it and then you tighten it down and it tightens the belt, right? So the water pump and the crank pulley both have 5-rib, and it has a set of V-belts on it. So this compressor, how I want it to work is it will strictly run off the crank. So the crank pulley will have a V-belt that goes to this guy. This will get tightened at just like the same style, farm style. So you pull it, you tighten it, and Bob's your uncle should be all together. So I swept up the floor threw down my kitty litter, cleaned that up because I do have dogs, and my dogs are not trained to not lick anything. So I don't want them to come out here and lick up some antifreeze because that would be bad, which we all know. Yeah, so now I'm to the point where I'm just gonna set this up in there and see if it'll clear the frame, right? The bracket that I have for the alternator is an ICT bracket, which is like a mid-mount for the alternator. Allen Grove does sell a mid-mount alternator bracket, but before I spend more money on a bracket, that this looks like it fits in the same, like it's the same footprint, I'm gonna try it, right? So I don't know, I'm kind of thinking like anyone can buy an electric AC compressor, plug it in because you don't have any room up underneath there. So honestly, I'm just trying to think of how to do this like hot rodding, right? So we make it fit. I've got very little room. Let's do some research, more research, more research. And I've been researching this for probably, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 months before I bought the alternator. But I've got the alternator and it's fine, it fits. And then this came up, this option came up with some more searching. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to weasel this up in there. And then hopefully it'll work. I don't have too much space up there, as you guys know, to put the camera. So I'm just gonna try to weasel this up in there. And then hopefully with the magic of movie, it'll be all in and everything will be perfect, right? So you can kind of see up in there, but of course my dumb butt will probably be in the way. But let me show you. I'll put this all in and then we'll see how it all fits, hopefully. But according to the picture that I just showed you, it should fit. Now the picture that I show you, it shows a short water pump. This bracket is for a long water pump. So that's the thing. The water pump outlet kind of comes down lower than the short one, which would be up higher. So if I have to do some crazy magic stuff, I hope, I don't know. So let's just put this in there and see if it'll fit. If it doesn't fit, then I know that this isn't gonna work and I just spent money on stuff that I could use maybe for another build. But for now, let's see. So, it'd probably be easier to put the bracket in first and then see if all this would work, but that'd be too easy. So I'm just hoping I can get one of these started and it'll be great. Right there. Why won't this start? It's the bolt I took out. Okay, all right, so it started. Well, whew, that's gonna be really close. Oh boy, okay. We'll build the suspense. It's gonna be close, guys. It's gonna be close, but I think it's gonna work. I mean, when I say close, I mean like within an inch of the cross where the engine bolts to, right there. Okay, let's see. Like I said, I think with this setup, the biggest issue I'm gonna have is the coolant hose. Maybe. I don't know, maybe not. But overall it's fitting. Like, I think this is gonna work. I think you definitely have to put this together as one unit. Meaning, I don't think I would have enough room to do it without one unit. Okay. And we'll put this one up front. So this one goes up front, I hope. Hopefully. Oh, yeah, right there. I need my flashlight. I think this is gonna work, guys. I think we're about to run AC off a compressor. Ooh. I keep going ooh because of the, whoops, oh shoot. Because of that lower radiator hose, you know? You know, I could probably gain more room if I went with an electric fan, because then I could move the whole radiator up 3 inches and it would clear absolutely everything. I don't know. And I'll tell you guys, I am not saying I will not run an electric fan at this point, because if that's what I need to make this all work, that's definitely what I'll do. Because right now, if I raise the radiator up, the fan blades start hitting the transmission lines. Yeah, so that's the problem. Right now it's in the sweet spot where I still have about a ½ inch before the fan blades hit the coolant lines, but I'm also I'm about 1.5 to 2 inches away from the upper radiator hose, you know, for that. So I can't really move the radiator up any higher because the mechanical fan hits it. But the compressor's in. Oh yeah. It's got plenty of swing. I mean, I can probably swing that out. That's gonna work. So we have placement for that, for the compressor. So let me swap you around here. This is definitely gonna work. That makes me super excited, to be honest with you, because now I don't have to run an electric AC unit. So let me swap you around here and show you. All right, guys, so there it is. Let me get a light up in there. So there it is. I'm not saying it's super close, but I'm saying it's super close. So let me get this right here. So obviously it would tension like that. That's where it bolts right there. So you guys can see it right there. But that belt is a shorty, and that's how much room I got right there. So if I can find a V-belt that's like 2 inches, you understand what I'm saying. If I can find a short V-belt, I may be able to do like maybe a 45 up that way, like right there, and then another 45 that way. I'm not sure yet on that one, but the compressor actually has room right there. And then that's where it bolts, right there. So we know it fits. So I have to figure out the belt that I need for that, and then figure out my configuration for the coolant without running an electric fan. But the thing is like also running an electric fan would also eliminate running a separate fan for the condenser. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit more about what I got going on. So the compressor the condenser that I have has the built-in dryer, and that thing has to stay like this, because the dryer has to stay vertical. You can't lay it down or whatever because of the separation or whatever. It would work up front here, up in the front like it would normally would, but I would have to put a fan on it to kick on and off. The mechanical fan may be stronger, may be strong enough to pull air through there to cool it down, but honestly, I don't want the obstruction in front of my radiator of a condenser and an electric fan, is what I'm trying to say. So, but if I cannot figure out hose routing for the radiator down here, because it's gonna be tight. But I know if I moved the radiator up like 2 inches, I think it would be a straight shot up and right up. So let me figure this out real quick. And when I say figure it out, it's basically lower it down, look at it, take some measurements and stuff like that. That's what I'm kind of doing. But we now know that with that bracket and the smaller AC compressor, I can run belt driven as long as I can find a belt. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, so as you can see, that's where the line of the radiator wants to go into or the lower hose, right? Because if I have it any lower, let me get my hand up in here, the hose wants to hit the pulley, okay? But I can't raise the radiator up anymore because of these 2 lines. Because right now, the fan is sitting in the sweet spot to be about a 1/2 inch away from the lines as it's spinning, so it doesn't hit them, right? But up there, right there, if it would focus, there we go, it does, I am running a fan spacer. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is take off the alternator belt right here. I still have to fix that little tink 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 right here where the cooling fan for the alternator actually hits that little bracket. The other thing, let me see if I can, oh, there we go. The other thing is right here. So that's how far I got before I tap the frame. So this part of the frame used to be for the, like an idler arm that came down for all the steering stuff. And that's where the steering box is, but it used to have one on that side, right there. So that's a little bit of a hump that I could possibly cut out and then just weld, like box it in right there to give me more of this, more pulled air. I mean, I can't go any farther this way because it hits the oil pan, right? But the other thing is, way up there, that guy right there, which is the 10 suction hose line thingy, from here to here is super tight. So even if I put on a little bit of that, I am not sure all the way, well, with the engine flexing, it'd have to be about there to not have to notch this out. But I'm not notching out the frame up here because this part and the cradle for the engine, that's where it connects, is right there. But if I can get maybe another 2 inches up this way, it'll help with putting a fitting on here to clear here. Yeah, so that's what we got. Okay, so I have the condenser. It's huge. Maybe it's a little too huge. Oh no. Yeah. Well, that one may not work. I guess I need a little bit smaller. Okay. So that now goes in the next build. Next build pile. Yep, so far I've got an alternator, I've got that, anyway, it doesn't matter. So let's get you up in here as best we can, loosen up this alternator, and start doing everything I've already told you I was going to do a couple times. All right. So now I'm going to actually clean out the radiator because there's still rust in there, so I don't like that. But anyway, so as you can see, I do have it on, but I'm hitting right there. And right there. But it's just touching this. So what I'm gonna do, I am gonna get the radiator up into the spot that it needs to be, and then I'm going to see, instead of a 2-inch spacer, oh, sorry. Okay, so that's the spacer I took off. It fell down into the bucket. But this is inch and 3/4 spacer. So once I'm going to put the radiator up where it needs to be. So the real estate, or so the lower hose connects to the radiator. I'm going to mark that, mount the radiator again. And then from there, I'll figure out what do I need to do as far as like a spacer. If I can get away with a 1-inch spacer in the back, just to pull it away from that pulley instead of a 1 3/4, and see if it'll still clear my lines down below. If not, I'll have to think this through and figure out something else. So again, it's kind of tough to get up in there, obviously, and it's not just an excuse, guys. It's really hard to get up in here. But that is what I'm going to try to do here. All right. It's still going to hit the fittings for the transcooler. So it looks like I'm going to be running a transcooler. I'm not going to run $600 worth of electric fans up here when I have a transcooler over there for all that. So I think what I'm going to do, where is it? So I have two different types of transcoolers. I have the Durrell, massive piece of equipment with AN fittings on the end to -6, which is what this is. Or, don't laugh at this one. So this is a Hayden little guy right here, -nothing, just push on connectors. Yeah, so that's what I got. Either way, I will be running a transcooler. So if that means this big monster here somewhere in the back, or the little monster somewhere in the front, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to mess around anymore. Like, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So let me see if I can find some caps, some -6 caps to cap off this line, so I can start working on putting the fan back on. I'm going to flush out the radiator, or try to. Yep, we'll be back. All right, guys. So after this afternoon, I got it all into place. Everything is good. I'm waiting for a couple parts now that I see what's going on here. And then I have to figure out another thing with the fitting in the back, right? So let me swap you around here. All right. So here we are. So what we got is I ordered a 90 elbow right here, stainless steel elbow barbed end. So it'll go right through this hole. And it'll be stainless steel, so, in case the belt racks a little or whatever, it doesn't grab rubber, so to speak. I'm hoping that won't be a problem. I did just drop my flashlight. And then, boop, let me put that right there. And then, geez, this is hard. And then right here, I clearanced it a little bit better. So now this shouldn't hit, because before it was just making a little tink, tink, tink noise right there. Another thing, way back there. So you see this number 10 suction right there? That overall, sorry about the camera work here. There we go. So that's gonna be tricky. I know you can loosen up the compressor in the back. There's like 6 bolts or something back there. You just loosen it and you can actually clock that back part. So I may have to do that in order for me to make something work right here. because if I use a 90, the 90 will fit. I just set it up there, but it points it towards the front, and then there's not enough room to clear the alternator to bring the hose up. You know, I could do a straight on this one at a 45, and that one's fine. Well, yeah, so that's the number 10, or that's the number 8. So that can go up and then 45 out, and it would clear everything that I think it would clear. I mean, it's tight in here, but this is what it's about, right? Trying to figure out solutions here. But that number 10, I don't know that, and there's not enough for a 45, I don't think, right there. I don't have a 45, I've only got a 90. But for some reason, I think a 45, it would kind of go like that, and then I think it would hit that right there. I was looking at the 135s, but that will bring it down, like force it down here next to my rack. So that's not going to work. Yeah. So that's where we're at with this setup. So I think that's going to be it for today. We did get quite a lot. We did get the AC compressor fitting. We got a belt for it. So that is a Gates. It's a Gates 1/2-inch belt, 36 inches. And I get it's power rated, so it's green. So it just means that it's a little bit more heavier duty than a standard belt. What else? We did finally decide that we would have to use a transmission cooler. So the radiator, so the fan, so I can still use a mechanical fan, because this mechanical fan pulls hard, right? So if I put the condenser, once I get the right size condenser, up against the radiator, it'll just pull it. It'll be fine. The old timers were saying that, you know, this is all they had back in the day when they had AC in cars and stuff, was just a mechanical fan. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. So like I said, I did order parts. So hopefully they'll be in tomorrow. But I don't know what time. But so for now, that's where we're going to kind of leave it for today. So yeah, we'll catch you in the morning. Good morning, guys. So I went out this morning. I got a couple more belts. So these ones are, so the one that I have in there is 36 inch. So this is 36 and 5/8, and this is 36 and an 1/8. I have enough room to swing the compressor a little bit more. So maybe I have a better shot at that back port to clear the frame a little bit, is what I'm hoping. So I am still waiting for parts though, because I ordered them yesterday, to continue working on the compressor. So what I'm going to do this morning is I'm going to swap out the belt to one of these other belts. That's a 1/2-inch belt. These are 3/8, so they'll sit in the groove a little bit more too, so they don't stick out so much. That Sandin 508 compressor can take a 3/8 or a 1/2-inch, so it can do either belt. So, you know, I just want to see if I can get a little bit more out, so it'll bring the ports up a little bit, I'm hoping. So once I get that straightened out on the compressor side, if that'll work, then I will loosen it back up, take the compressor out, take off the two caps, put on my 90s, and see how it'll fit with that. I'm thinking I would really probably like a 45, maybe like that. Both of them come up like that to bring the lines in the back over, is what I'm kind of working on here. So with that being said, let's just kind of jump right into this. And yeah, we'll go from there, because now that I'm going to be running a trans cooler in the back, I have to figure out how to mount that. So that I'm going to go with this one. This is a Durrell transcooler. I originally got this to help with moisture in my, or cool down the air in my AC compressor, in my air compressor for the lines coming through here. But since I have dual tanks out back, I have this uber awesome filtration system. I never get water in the lines. So this has just been sitting on the shelf. A couple daubers have gotten into it, but that can get cleaned out no problem. But the problem is that this does not have any way to mount it, right? And there's no fan on it. So I did order a 10-inch fan that can go on there. I already have the fitting for the temperature sensor, and the temperature sensor will come on and off. What is it, like 185 on? Yeah, 185 on and then 170 off. And with the transmission, you want to kind of keep it in a range around 180 degrees. You don't really want it to get up higher than 190 is what I understand. So, but in order to mount this, I have to get brackets. So this is uber thin, so I don't want to weld to it. Once I get the fan in, which will probably be tomorrow or whatever, I'll probably have to make a bracket, figure out how to bond it to this, so it will be able to mount it. Right? Right. So basically the transmission cooler has now became part of the AC compressor upgrade thing. Right. So anyway, so let me, like I said, let me get the belt swapped out and we will go from there, right? Right. Maybe. I think that's going to work. So let's that cool down. I don't know. I think that's going to be awesome, actually. Okay. So let me pull this off, and then we'll be right back. Okay, guys, I think I got it. So it's going to look crowded, but it's going to work because of that big. So the number 10 suction hose is the big one. And that goes to the inside evaporator, to the unit underneath the dash, right? So the number 6 goes to that one from the AC condenser. The number 8, how did it go again? So the 10, yeah. So the 10 goes up to the evaporator, which comes out with the number 6. The number 6 goes to the condenser, and the number 8 on the back of the compressor goes to the condenser. So the biggest, fattest hose is the number 10. So let me swap you around here and I'll show you how I'm going to route this. Okay, so that one right there is the number 10. So what I'm going to get is a 45, and then that will route up here, up through here, and to the bottom of the firewall on the edge here. Or I can route it up there. Just depends on my lines on the inside, but that's the path that one's going to take. And my flashlight fell again. Okay. And then back there is the number 8. So that one will be coming up behind the alternator, up and into the condenser here, wherever it lands. And then the number 6 will come off the condenser and then go back through and up to go into wherever the number 10 lands. That's where the number 6 is going to land to go inside to attach to these guys. So that's kind of what we got going on with that. That way it'll clear everything, sorry, it'll clear everything that I need it to clear. So that number 8 line, I did heat it up as you saw, and I bent it. So I'll just show you. So this is how it was originally, a 90, and that's how I bent it. So it wouldn't be a 90. So it's a little over a 45, if that makes sense. So, but what I am going to do is I'm going to get a kit, because I did try to bend wherever it went. I did try to bend the other number 10. There it is. The other number 10, but I messed up. I messed up this guy. You see that little floop right there? That kind of took it out of round, so it will not, it won't go onto the compressor or that, because the O-ring part is messed up now. So that one's garbage, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so now that we got all that, I'm waiting for my 90, stainless steel 90 to come through so I can finish up that routing. But I do like this shorter belt, the 3/8 belt versus the 1/2 inch. It sits in there nice. Gives me about another 1/4 of an inch clearance because of the belt routing, because of how the belt sits inside the groove. There we go. How the belt sits inside the groove. So that's kind of all I can do for the electric, or for the AC compressor, right? So I'm going to put the caps back on the AC compressor, because it did only ship with shipping oil. So I have to actually take it back off, drain it, dump it out, and then put in 8 ounces of the PAG 46 oil, and I also got the PAG 46 with dye. With the dye. So if I do have any leaks, I should be able to UV light it and check it, because I'll be crimping these lines myself. I have a hydraulic crimper, and you never know. You never know. But anyway, so I would say that right now we can use this, the compressor. So that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now, well, let me look around here, see what I got, because I do have a few things I need to do, like make a mount for the transmission cooler. So let's work on that for a minute. So I'll be right back. Let me get everything all settled out and then be right back. All right, guys, so I removed the transmission lines that were attached and going down there. And then I just attached my wires all up nice. And then I'm routing the transmission lines on that side, because of the exhaust is on this side. So let me bring this beast down, and then I'll show you kind of where I'm going to put the transmission cooler. So I feel it's probably going to go like that. Maybe at an angle like this. Right? So I just don't know if I'm going to have the fan blow down. Probably blow down. Versus blowing up, because the bedwood is going to be right here. So I think maybe it'll be up above, like right, kind of like floating right there. And that's the bracket. I got to figure out how to get this to mount all nice. Right? Right. And right here's the lines. So the lines have plenty of room to go back here, right? I could probably even put it right there, so I wouldn't have to, actually right there might be pretty good. I wouldn't have to alter the lines at all, right? Just kind of bring them like that. They don't hit anything. Yeah, okay. So now when I did get this, I did get a pressure switch fitting. All right, so I do have a pressure or a fitting for a temperature sensor. So that would kind of go like in line here. So this doesn't really have a direction, right? Directional flow. But I think what I'll probably do is I'll put the outflow here and then, or I'm sorry, the in here and the out there. You know, if I'm going to mount it kind of like that, right? Or if I mount it like this. Well, just know that the upper piece sitting at an angle is going to be the in, and then the lower is going to be the out. So ultimately, you would put the pressure switch on the inside, so it would monitor the temperature coming in, and if the temperature gets hot or whatever, it does pop the fan on, so to speak. So it'll go right there. So I will have to have power back here and a relay, just because. Why not? But that's no big deal because I've got plenty of amperage now from that 200 amp alternator to run one of these. So basically this has to be, I basically have to put these two together. And right there. And I think I have enough fittings for that, but we're not at that part yet. We're at the part of figuring out how we're going to make a bracket to go in this area right here. Actually, let me move you down a little bit. There we go. So I'll make a bracket that goes right here. It'll be below the bedwood, won't be in my way for anything. Just figuring out the attachment on it, right? Yep. Okay. And it's got to be pretty stout. So let me look around, see what I have for metal to make the attachment. And honestly, I'm probably just going to bond it to this, because it's aluminum, right? Bond it to it, because I have no way of welding aluminum. And we'll go from there. It takes 24 hours for this stuff to set up. But let me see if I've got some metal to hold this all together. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, guys, so what I came up with. What is that? Inch by inch. L channel, 1/8 inch thick. So I'm going to mount it on the back side. So I cleaned it up. That will attach just like that on both sides. And then that will attach to that cross member that goes across. So let me attach this real quick. And then, you know, I use 3M panel bond. I think it's 8115. I'll show you a picture of it here where I get it off Amazon. And a little bit goes a long way. You don't need a lot of that. I bought 2 tubes at the beginning of this year, maybe around March, and I still have a 1.5 tubes, and that's with all the little things that I've been doing, attaching. So yeah. Anyway, so let me attach this real quick, and I've got to let it sit. I'll show you how I set up the jig so it holds it in place. So we'll be right back. All right. So what I did was I just put tape on the inner lines here, just so none of the panel bond would get into the fins. I mean, I don't know if it makes a difference with the cooling, but might as well. I spaced it up from the tubes so it sits down on it. Taped up the paint stick so none of the panel bond would stick to the paint stick. Then I used 2-inch, I don't know, 3/16 thick square tubing as weight. And that's it. So now I just got to let that sit and dry. I hope it works. And if it doesn't work, I certainly wish it would have. So I got to let that sit and dry. So that's that. I'm waiting for parts for the AC compressor. So, yeah, I'm not sure what else I can get into for what I have parts for. But let me look around and see what we can do. Maybe we can wire the turn signals up here and the fenders, because I still have to do that. Yeah. I can also wire up the wiper switch or wiper motor switches, because I got that in. All right, let me just kind of look around and see what I got. All right, guys, so we got the blinkers in. I pulled the fuse for the fuel pump so it wouldn't push fuel up into here. I connected the battery up. So let's just make sure all this works. So the key is on. Yeah. Yeah. So these are running lights. So those are just the running lights down below. Yep. Yep, and everything still works in the back as it should. And then headlights. Yep. All right. All right. So all the blinkers are ran now. So all the lighting stuff is done. Ooh, besides the license plate light, which I haven't even bothered putting anything in there yet. Okay, let me disconnect the battery. So I guess that's going to be it for today. So I'll just get a little head start on editing the video. Okay, guys. So until we get our parts in and tomorrow, see you then. Bonus footage. Tailgate showed up. Let's put it on with the little cups. We got a tailgate. So that tailgate right there, sun on my eyes. So I did not get the Ford tailgate because I didn't want to modify it. So this is a 47 through 53 GMC or Chevy 3100 tailgate, which fits the bed that is of the same. So you know what? I think that's just perfect, right? So these cups right here, they're really cheaply made, obviously. They're not like the originals. So what I had to do was I had to cut about 3/8 to about a 1/2 inch off the cup end, so it would go over it, because it extends too far out and it hits the actual inside of the tailgate there, so it wouldn't slide all the way over to be able to get the bolts. So the bolts on the tops, they still had the cage nuts in the back. The bottom ones, on the other hand, did not. Those, when we took the tailgate off, the GMC tailgate off, when we got this, or when I got this from my friend, the bolts just snapped right off. And that's fine. I almost bought chains, tailgate chains. I didn't realize it had them. So, but the tailgate chains are 75 bucks for a set of tailgate chains. Look at that. I forgot that I even had them on there. So there we go. Right? I think I got to clean these up a little bit. Yeah, make them a little bit easier to get on and off. I think that's awesome. So maybe what I'll do is I can get like the Ford script stencil. It's like 20 bucks for the big Ford stencil. Maybe I'll just, when I paint this, when I paint everything else, maybe I'll paint it like the off-white up there, up along the cab. I think I'm probably going to repinstripe that. So probably what I'll do is I'll probably paint it, then I'll put the script on it, and then do all the other painting with the patina and all that stuff. And then at the end, I'll peel off the stencil protecting the Ford on there. And then it'll say Ford in the back, even though it is a GMC tailgate. Let me just clean this up. Make this a little easier to go on and off. There we go. Perfect. So now I'll see you tomorrow. Good afternoon, guys. So I've been waiting all day for the Amazon packages to come in that I ordered for all the bits and bobs to try to make all that work down there. And it came in about an hour ago and none of it works. It won't work. So I'm sending it all back. But what I did do today was during the day, I ran my transmission cooler in the back, all the lines back, got all that sorted out back there. I just have to add the fan to it. Yeah, so let me go show you that real quick. Here is the transmission cooler. So I did my bracket. I was continuity testing this to here, or to the frame, just to make sure, because the pressure switch runs off from the ground. It needs a ground. But anyway, so that is how it's mounted. So these are the pieces that I panel bonded yesterday, and then I made a bracket off the bottom over, so it's stout. It's not moving anywhere. I ran the -6 lines all the way over there, rib nut holding it in place, rib nut holding it in place. These are rib nuts too, and that's it. So the lower line, so this is the return line to the transmission, and this is the one going from the transmission up. So right here is where that switch is gonna go. Or the thermostat switch to turn the fan on and off. The 10-inch fan was way too big. So I do have a 6-inch fan that does 650 CFMs. So that's going to go here instead. So my 6-inch fan will be right here, and it covers that whole area right in the center. So that's what I did today. As you can see, the AC compressor does fit. It is a low mount. Everything will work. I just have to sort out the lower radiator hose a little bit better than this. I kind of want to get a metal piece somehow down there, even if I have to get a piece of mild steel and kind of cut, bend, weld something in there. I just would be more comfortable with a metal hose or a metal pipe right there for that 90 that I need. But that's going to wrap this one up. This video was a little long. It's because I was kind of bouncing everywhere. But, you know, I told you a lot of what I was doing. It's hard to get up in there. And I know I keep saying that. But it's true. I don't know. That's how it is. So anyway, guys, thanks again for watching what I got going on this weekend. And, hey, Go out and build something cool, guys. One weekend at a time. Catch you on the next one. Bye.